Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Evan from Epic Duel Time. I am doing a bit of a break from the norm this week on a video. I'm starting potentially a new segment called Epic Talk Time, which is essentially Epic Duel Time minus an actual duel. It's focusing more on a certain topic of interest in the TCG or OCG. And this one was sparked a lot by a recent Facebook post I made. Kind of a little rant about players who were griping about the Abyss Rising rarities that were announced this week. And people thought that my points would be better suited for a video. They'd like to watch a video about it. So one of those people was Amanda LaPalme, who is Dragon Duelist Girl. So I took that, and here I am making a video about it. So I guess the biggest thing to talk about is the Abyss Rising rarities and rarity in general. Why do we have secret rares, and what does that mean for Konami's marketing strategy? Is it deliberate? And in my opinion, yes, it is absolutely deliberate. I think it's hard to deny that. So this is going to be episode 1, the cash card crisis. And I guess this message goes out to the gripers of Abyss Rising's rarity. What'd you expect? Konami does this like every year, and most sets they do this with, where there was something that is really like, oh, I'd really like that card, that would fit so well. And then sometimes there's TCGs that are just absurd and have amazing synergy with, upcoming decks, and they all end up being secret rares. I mean, a well-known one was Rescue Rabbit. This is a rare in OCG, but we have it as a secret and now a super, but it's one of those things where people don't seem, they don't seem to get it, but then they respond really poorly to it. And Konami just laid, no pun intended, all the cards out on the table and explained every rarity we were going to get. And we know everything. So no surprises. Bahamut Shark is coming out as a secret. I'm not sure I'd want it as anything else. Thunder Seahorse is coming out as a secret. The Spellbook Tower is coming out as a secret. The Mermails are coming. One of them's really good, and he's coming out as a secret. I mean, yeah, it's high rarity. That happens almost every set. So, I guess the issue is that players are starting to feel entitled to having low rarity cards, and they feel that Konami owes them something. Well, the problem is that Konami is a very, very large gaming company, and they have successfully produced these sets and doing this rarity game for a while. And the biggest part is they have the best-selling card game in the world as of 2011. And the largest trading card game event held in history was theirs in YCS Long Beach for the 100th YCS. They're not in a position to start changing their methods now. And if anything, I think that we are on the brink of seeing things more drastic. And that's why there's a lot of TCGs and a lot of secrets in Abyss Rising. So, I think my core point is players feel like there shouldn't be such a class difference in money paid for cards on the secondary value market. And my biggest point is, and I think this is the driving point of this video is going to be, you don't get something for nothing. And there is nothing in our society that says, you can put in a certain amount into something and get the same outcome as someone who put in way more than you. And that's true for so many things in life. Like, if you study for a test for an hour versus someone who studied for 10 hours. The norm is the person who studied for 10 has better success. The same thing goes in sports, money, anything. That's how this goes. That's just a theory, and it's absolutely how it's cause and effect. What you put in, you get out. So you can't expect that Konami wouldn't follow the same thing with their own card game. The best cards are going to cost some money. That's how this works. If I'm willing to pay $500 on a Prophecy deck and you can only pay $50, the odds are kind of favoring me a bit more. So if you're going to put more time and effort into something than another individual, the odds are you're going to get something more out of it. And it doesn't mean that money should equal success. It simply means you're in a position where I put something in and it tends to not just be money. Sometimes it is. But there are times where resources gain you more advantages. Unfortunately, that's life. But there are also really good budget decks. And decks that are completely playable and can go toe-to-toe with some of these top decks that do not cost an arm and a leg. And I don't think that it's unreasonable to tell players, why aren't you looking at those? Don't look at something that's not in your affordability bracket. So the biggest thing in all this is that players gripe about the secret rares of an Abyss Rising set, but just the other week they were so happy to rub it in all the top dollar players' faces how everything got reprinted. And I think it's time to go over their what I'm calling the Konami flow of money. And it's a pattern that I've noticed, and many people have noticed it, that happens. So let's go over it. I've got it written down. Step 1. Konami prints really expensive cards, and you want them because they're good. Case in point, we'll start with things like Tour Guide, Duality, cards that came out and were either expensive off the bat or they gained a ton of momentum in price. Tour Guide, that card. Once we found out what it could do, that card shot up to about $200. A slight ruling adjustment to what Xyz monsters really were lowered it to about like $150. Still incredibly expensive for a card. That happens. And it's sold a lot of product for Konami, no doubt. So that leads me to step 2, is that players willing to pay top dollar will, and they will obtain these cards and use them in tournaments. And the step 3 is going to be budget players feel entitled that they should also play these cards. They think it's unfair. So they start getting upset, writing petitions, essays about how the game used to be, and it's been like this for a while. So I don't know what they're expecting it used to be, but how it should be, all these different things that Konami should do for them. And meanwhile, after about 8 to 10 months of play, Konami just adds some of these powerful cards to the Forbidden Limited list, and then they start releasing new cards that are, middle upper value and the new archetypes, and then the top dollar players kind of switch over. And a great example of that is Gear Gia. I mean, there are top decks like windups, but people switched over to Gear Gia. Gear Gia's not insanely expensive. Gear Gigan's kind of pricey, but that's about it. So it's kind of a bit of a transition. Inzectors did the same thing at the end of last format. Step 5. After about 12 to 18 months from their first release, Konami reprints expensive cards in tins and special editions. The months might not be right on that, but it's about average. Now here's the fun part. Budget players rejoice, thinking that, they're now equal to the top dollar counterparts, and the problem they're ignoring is that the cards that they're getting are severely less practical and have much less impact than they did before. Case in point, this. Max C went for about $120 at one point. And what drove it up that high was that this card was almost a necessity in any deck. Its usability value was insanely high because everybody was playing very special summon related decks, but now we're not. And the ones that are have the ability to avoid and play around Max C, or just plow right through it and go for game anyway. So it doesn't matter. So congratulations on your Super Max C. It doesn't do what this did a year ago. When I played this a year ago, it was so much better than if I play it today. But yet it's the same card. And the reason for that is just how the game goes. Do you think Konami would still hand you this if it were still amazing? Tour Guide. Most decks aren't, unless they're chaos based or directly benefit off Tour Guide, they're not using it. Rabbit. The deck hasn't really performed that amazingly in tournaments. It's still okay, but it's not the best deck anymore. They're giving you these as supers because they're not that amazing. The impact is different. The limited list to hit them, there are different aspects. The cards are almost different cards now, and in some theory, yeah, they're not the same. And so you're not getting what you think you're getting. So step 5 is kind of this point where Konami is giving you everything you want, just way later than you wanted it. And so that leads me to step 6, is Konami just makes new expensive cards, and then they're way better than the previous releases because of the limited list and reprints and the format. And then top dollar players invest in the new cards, budget players gripe, and the world starts anew. My case in point, the new Prophecy cards. High Priestess was about $20-25 for a while. I was picking these things up for $25 a piece at Providence. It's now like $45-50 because of the announcements in Spellbook Prophecy for Abyss Rising. It's kind of something I saw coming. New set, expected support, probably going to be a couple TCGs in the mix. Yeah, I'm going to pick this stuff up cheap. To me, picking it up at half its current value is good. I'm happy with that. But for those of you who didn't see it coming, now it's there. But I guess the biggest thing is, don't feel entitled to have them. You don't need them. They're nice, but you don't need them. Unless you want to play the deck. But that's your choice. It all starts with choice. But the biggest thing is, you don't get to have everything for nothing. Nothing is free, and few things are cheap. This game is a hobby, and it's an expensive one. And no one's going to lie to you and say that it isn't. If you dislike the pattern, you kind of only have like 3 choices. You either figure out how to deal with budget, and there are players who do phenomenally at it. So budget's nothing to be ashamed of or nothing to hold you back. You excel and you spend the money and get the better cards, and you learn how to use them that way. Another solution. Or you quit. And I don't mean to be cynical and mean about it when I say quit, but it's not like Konami's got a knife to your throat and a pistol to your back. They're a company selling a product. And if you don't want to buy their product, you don't have to. But then again, you don't have to play the game. I mean, I want a Mercedes-Benz, but I haven't earned one. I drive a 2001 Chevy Prism, and it's beige, and it looks like an old lady car. But it does everything I needed to do, and I bought it when I was 16, 17, and I use it every day, and I'm very happy. There's not a day that I look at my car and go, I fucking hate this car. I quite like my car. It's very reliable, and I like it. I'm blessed that I got it what I did. I could afford it then, and how I did. So it's fine. But I don't sit there and look at it and go, damn, if you were a Mercedes-Benz. I don't think like that, because I'm happy with what I have now. And that's what I would urge all of you to be, is just enjoy what you have, because this is still a game. And if you're playing it because you just want to win, you're going to find a very hollow outcome, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not there's no huge like reward in tournaments anymore. I mean, if you're looking for tournament outcome, go play Magic. But if you're looking to really enjoy your game, if you want to play Yu-Gi-Oh, play Yu-Gi-Oh. But don't expect something unreasonable from it, and don't feel entitled to these cards that you can't afford. Be your own individual as much as you can. Play the decks you can play. Some of my good friends play non-meta decks, and they do better than I do. And their knowledge of meta comes from beating it, not from playing it. They're smart, talented individuals, and they know how to play their game. And I respect them to the highest degree, because I'm not sure that I could have the same patience they do. And I think it's very admirable. So there's always another side to this. And make the best of what you have. I do. I mean, there's some things I don't feel the need to own. There's some things I do like owning. I love playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I love collecting Yu-Gi-Oh! I treat it like a business sometimes. But at the end of the day, I do it because I love it. And I do it because it's fun for me. And I wish that for all of you guys, because I don't imagine that if you're watching this right now, and you're about 15 minutes in, you possibly are quite a big fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! To watch my channel and listen to what I have to say and what we have to say about Yu-Gi-Oh! And what we do. Focus on that, because focusing on what you don't have is going to make you a lot less grateful, and you'll enjoy a lot less what you do have. That's no way to have fun. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the game. It's a game. And I think on that note, we'll close it up with, if you guys like this video and you like the format and you like how it goes, let us know in the comments below. If you're wondering what I'm doing right here, this is a condenser mic. I've filmed this video like 3 times already, and on a webcam, and the webcam microphone is terrible. And I didn't realize that, and I had it all nice and done. And then I listened to the audio. I was like, I can't give this to you guys. So I brought my condenser mic back in, and so I'm using it. But that's why it's right out in front of me. But let us know what you think. Comments down below. Like, subscribe. Thank you again to everybody for getting us past 2,500 subscribers. That's intense. I actually did not see that coming, but I'm really glad you guys reacted so positively to the YCS Providence top match. The YCS champion is a personal friend of mine. I have a deck profile and an interview coming up. It's a little late, but it's better late than never, and it's a good interview. So I hope you guys enjoy that too. As always, I'm Evan. This is Epic Duel Time. Keep dueling, America.